Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. And in order to do the menti.com, if you haven't done before, I'll be asking you to open up another screen on your browser, another tab on your browser, and give you an access code. But before we do that, I'm going to start the presentation. So again, thank you for taking some time out today to spend some time with me. It's an honor to be invited to present to you. And when Sabia reached out to us, I was more than happy to do this. We were trying to find a good date for everybody to get together. So, as I said, I'm with Food Sharing Ottawa. It's a local nonprofit. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what we do in a little while. My name is Caroline Wilcox. I'm the communications lead for Food Sharing Ottawa, and I've been with the organization since January of 2021. So coming up on 3 years. So that's me. So just a little bit about myself. My favorite easy dish to make is chicken brochettes on the barbecue, because you just cut everything up, put in some salad dressing to marinate a little bit, stick it on skewers, and then on the barbecue it goes. It's really easy. And so what does food mean to me? For me, food is family. It's learning about culture, the different cultures, and you can tell a lot about a culture by how they prepare food, what kind of food they eat. And it also represents new adventures, because when you're trying something, a dish you've never tried to make before, or you're trying something in a new country, you get to learn a lot about not only the country, but the way it's prepared, or different techniques that are used. So for me, it's about new adventures. And as I said, I've been volunteering since January of 2021 with this organization. And for me, it's all about creating a positive impact on my community and the environment. So I'm going to I want to get to know you a little bit better. So if you could go and open up a tab to menti.com and use this code. Um, Once you have that code set up, I will get out of this presentation and start presenting the other one. So does everybody have that code?
I hope I can do it.
Well, just do your best.
Yeah, my computer is really acting up too.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how we can do it. So everybody's got that? Because I'm going to exit out of here, and I'm going to switch over to new share. There. Okay, so does everybody see tell us one of your favorite easy meals to cook?
No, I'm having like you said menti.com login.
Correct.
And all Mentimeter
So
coming
on
up.
menti.com, and it should ask you for a code.
Well, I get menti.com for students. Like,
I got in, but I'm on the wrong questions. I think I'm on the end of the day questions. Was this presentation useful to you?
You need to switch the tab there on the top. There is, go to the next slide. Yeah.
Hang on, maybe I have the wrong one selected.
No, I have.
That's right. I have the tab on which you
I
said.
have the right one.
Yeah.
As do I.
Okay.
I am. I'm into it.
Okay. Deborah, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have Halim, lentil soup. Ooh. Somebody will have to explain to me what Halim is. See, my new adventure for today. I don't cook. Oh, Okay. Okay. Beef stroganoff, yeah. That's great. So who can tell me what halim is?
That's me.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of, I would say, spices, whole grains like wheat, barley, and different kinds of lentils, like
Great.
black lentil, the red lentil, the green lentil, and then some, either you can have it with either meat or with chicken, and
Okay.
yeah, and yogurt.
I'll have to get your recipe so I can try it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I find it
Thank
very
you.
easy to make. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay. So the next question is, what do you hope to learn from today's presentation? So what were you expecting when you found out that Food Sharing Ottawa was going to present today?
Sorry, I don't have the Menti thing going on, but
Oh, okay.
the reason that I'm here is because I'm just starting a food pantry in my building, and I was hoping maybe I could find out anything, because I'm still working on trying to arrange the transportation from where the donations come in to bring them to my building. So anything I can learn would be helpful.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Yeah, just so you know, Kathy would be a really good resource because the Clementine Food Pantry is one of our recipient organizations. So we can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
Ways to save fresh and cooked food. Okay, great. Okay.
I just
Okay,
seem to
we're
be
gonna
having a little bit of a problem with the application. Like Andrea said, when I go into it, it's asking me my opinion of the actual presentation. I'm not able to input anything, but I do see you on this screen, on the
Oh,
meeting screen.
that's very interesting.
Uh,
Okay.
Can I say something? Brian, just on the top, you will see there's a go to slide or go to presenter slide or something like that. On the top of your screen, just above those questions.
I do not have that. My screen just has at the title Metimeter. What do you hope to learn from today's presentation? Is that correct?
No, it's what do you hope to learn from today's presentation? Correct.
Yeah,
And
I have
so
the same thing like Brian. I'm sorry, I have the same thing like Brian.
I understand what's happening now. I see. We just put our input on this screen. We don't actually see anything else on this screen.
no, this is where I'm interacting with you, and I would like to hear from you.
Okay, makes sense now. I thought something was going to appear here as well.
Well, what appears is all the other people's responses.
Okay, that does not appear on my screen. It appears on my Zoom screen. I'm just going to type in test and see what happens.
Okay.
Caroline?
Yes.
I'll have to put my hand up. I'm not gonna play around too much with my computer. One, it's acting up, and two, I'm not good at this. So I'm gonna put my hand up. But
No
what I
problem.
want to say, with Sang, I've been encouraging her to do the pantry, and I've been helping her. I had a meeting with her last week. So we're working on that.
Great.
And I was also going to mention, I've been working with Kathy as well to set up a food pantry at 312 Cumberland as well.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna, Brian, just so you know, I did see your response on my screen, and it shows up on.
I see it on my Zoom screen.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're gonna go back to, the presentation. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. Okay, so Food Sharing Ottawa, who are we? So, as I said, we're a nonprofit organization, and our hope is that we get to a world where all food is valued and doesn't get wasted. And our mission really is to reduce the amount of surplus food that gets thrown away unnecessarily. And we try to promote and provide alternative uses for this surplus food. And there is our barcode, and you can find out some more information on our website. Um, the kind of impact that we've had. So we currently have, we're growing our redistribution network. So what we do is we work with local food businesses and restaurants and any retail store, coffee shops, and we ask if they're willing to donate their surplus food, and we'll talk a little bit about surplus food. And we have a list of over 40 recipient organizations, one of which is Kathy's Clementine Food Pantry. And when we rescue food, our volunteer rescue drivers can choose any one of those recipient organizations to bring the food to. We do not guarantee a delivery. And usually it's based on where the driver is picking up the food, because we do want to reduce our carbon footprint. So we don't want our drivers to be driving long distances just to deliver a couple of boxes of food if there's a donor location and a recipient location that's fairly close together. So having said that, um, so far last year we rescued over 40,000 pounds of food and donated it across these recipient organizations. We also have a Facebook group called Share It, Don't Toss It. And it's basically like a buy nothing group except for food. And it allows members to share any surplus household food that they have and offer it up to the community. And the members of this group can choose to claim that food and then arrange to go and pick it up. Okay, so we do encourage our drivers to, when they have a rescue, to keep some of it and share it on this Facebook group as well. So sometimes you'll see posts that say, courtesy of Food Sharing Ottawa. So we were also featured on some documentaries. Most recently by TV5, which is a French network, and they did a documentary, a 10-part series on waste. And when they came to Ottawa, Food Sharing Ottawa was one of the organizations they featured. Some of the impact we also have is, you may or may not know, the UN back a little while back set up 17 sustainable development goals. And through the work in Food Sharing Ottawa, we're doing our best to contribute to 3 of them, which is for zero hunger, because some of the food that we rescue is donated to shelters and food pantries and food banks, so that we can address or help address some of the food insecurity issues. We also contribute to responsible consumption and production by diverting food from landfills and preventing it from getting wasted in the first place. We're making sure we honor the resources that go into producing this food. And as a result of diverting food from landfills, food that ends up in landfills actually produces greenhouse gas called methane, which is 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. So and that's because it basically decomposes anaerobically, so without oxygen. And instead of when it decomposes, it produces this methane gas. So if we can divert food that doesn't have to go into the landfill, divert it from the landfill, we're contributing to reducing the amount of greenhouse gases that are produced. So I've made a point of calling what we do focused on surplus food. So what is surplus food? Surplus food for us is, at the retail and household level, when you have food that you cannot use up for whatever reason, and it is still fit for human consumption, that to us is surplus food. And if left unused uh, um, or left unused, then it becomes unfit for food consumption, and that then it becomes food waste. Okay, so we're really honing in on not where food banks sometimes look for contributions directly from grocery stores or whatever. We're looking for food that really is not being sold by the retail or is not being used by households for whatever reason. Okay, and we're looking to divert that and prevent that from becoming food waste. So, what are the causes of surplus food? So, at the household level, sometimes it's just overbuying. We see something on sale and we end up buying a lot of it. And we end up not being able to use it before it's loses its freshness, or we're just not able to use it. Or overproduction. In the picture, you see an example at a bakery. Bakeries don't always know exactly how much bread they're going to sell, so they bake a certain amount. And at the end of the day, if they don't sell it, this bread has just been baked and it's still good for consumption, but they likely won't try to sell it the following day unless they sell day old bread. So where does all of this food go? Well, we're really interested in this food because this is still perfectly good to eat, and if stored properly, can be kept for a long, long time, like freezing. So I freeze my bread because we make our own bread and we don't use preservatives. So I freeze my bread and it lasts several weeks. So we would rescue this bread and we would redistribute it to various recipient organizations. Mislabeling. Sometimes stores or companies that produce food have a certain, they mislabel food. There's, instead of 10, there's only 8 in a package or something like that. And retailers are not able to sell it because it's kind of false advertising or whatever. So where does all of this food go? Most retailers tend to throw it out. And so we really want to take advantage of that. Ugly fruits. Now you're seeing grocery stores start, especially like Loblaws that sell perfect, imperfect foods or whatever. But a lot of times, ugly fruits or fruits with a small bit of damage or vegetables with a bit of damage don't get sold. So they get left on the shelves, and what do people do with them? If there's a damaged package, if cereal boxes, the corner of it gets crushed because, when it was being unloaded from the pallet, it got bumped and past the best before date. And we're going to talk a little bit about best before dates here. So rather than, because we're having a little bit of trouble right now, I'm going to skip the next input, but I wanted to ask you what you thought were sources of surplus food. Were there any that were not mentioned here that you can think of? And I'll just kind of go around the table. Do you see other ones that I haven't listed?
I don't know if you mentioned this or not, but sometimes people go to the type of food bank that gives them a box of food, and they bring it home, and there's stuff in there that they don't use or that they don't like. So then they just like leave it somewhere. So it's not being distributed in any sort of particular way. Sometimes they leave it in the lobby and then people can help themselves. But that's just sort of, I don't know if you mentioned.
No, I didn't, but that's a very interesting example, and something that I don't have exposure to. But yeah, if a food bank only gives you a box of food and you can't pick and choose, if you end up with something that you don't eat or for whatever reason, then what happens to that? So that's a perfectly good example of surplus food. Yeah, Kathy?
Yeah, like what Sang just said, I see that all the time because there are few people that can make it to the food bank and then they bring the stuff and they will leave it lying all over the lobby. But also some of them, because of health reasons, they can't have it as well. And the other thing I'm doing every day almost is to educate people on the best before, because they think when it's the best before, it's not good. I myself, when I just started, I was kind of until I have something posted from Southeast Ottawa from Sabia them explaining best before it is still good. And sometimes I say manufacturers have to put a date to guide them or to know about their stock or to just say, if you use this, sometimes it's just a little bit more fresh, but it's good. Because, and then the ugly thing you mentioned, Caroline, last week I had a tenant come back to me with a tomato. It came from the farm. It's perfectly fine, but it was a funny shape. Have you ever seen a tomato with like a double thing? And she's came and she's like, it was a Muslim lady. She's like, I say it's good, it's okay, but she didn't want it. So yes, all these are factors too. But
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Okay. So it was a good segue, Kathy, because a lot of people misinterpret best before dates and they think best before is equal to an expiry date when in fact it isn't. There are actually only 5 foods that have an expiry date. And they're on this, they include infant formula, mule replacements such as the Boost, or I can't think of another brand name, but or nutritional supplements or specially formulated liquid diets. And the reason they expire is that after that specific date, they no longer meet the same nutritional or compositional specification. So that's why they expire. Uh, in Canada, um, best before dates are only legally required on products that have a shelf life of less than 90 days, such as milk and eggs, and products that have a shelf life of less than 90 days and are packaged before it gets sent to the retailer. Okay. So, best before dates really only refer to food quality and not safety. So even if a product is past its best before date, it does not mean that it's not safe to eat. It just may mean that it's not as fresh, or it may lose a little bit of its flavor. Um, and best before dates only apply to unopened food. So that date becomes irrelevant once you open a package of crackers or even a bottle of jam or whatever. What's more important after that, once you open a product, is how you store and handle the product. So learning how to store food and handle food, keeping it from being contaminated, that is your best way to extend the life of your food. And so a big challenge for us as an organization is to actually educate people on even our own volunteers uh, use the term best before and expiry date interchangeably, and they are not the same thing. So if if you only learn one thing today, learn the difference between best before and expiry dates. I think that's a really good way to help us reduce the amount of food that gets wasted. And in fact, in Europe, in several countries in Europe, they're uh, going away from best before dates, and they're actually promoting a campaign called the Look, Smell, and Taste Test. So you as a consumer can see if a product has gone bad, or you can smell it, or you can taste a little bit of it. If it tastes off, then you know it's probably not good to consume. So using your own judgment, as opposed to this one uh, little typed, few letters on a bottle.
But
So several countries are using that approach, and we'll see how we can do that in Canada.
the only problem with that is that you got to buy it first and then what? Take it back? Like, kind of royal pain in the butt.
It can be, but if you only rely on, if it has never been opened and it is just past its best before date, it is not unsafe to eat. That's what I'm trying to say. It's people will say, oh, it's past its best before date, we need to throw it out, when that's what we're trying to educate people to not do. Okay.
It just may lose,
Kathy?
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I've
Sorry,
also
Sang.
seen in some stores where they have markdown stuff. I have friends that shop, they go to the markdown section. You could get like a ton of banana for a small price, and it's good. But I also one day I opened up a bag of cereal because it had the best before date, but this lady, oh, it's not good. And I just started eating it. I say, I eat it, it's really good. Look, it's fresh. So, so it's a lot of work educating them, but it's getting better because I used to have them coming back, oh, this passed the date. So I say, read that. But I would like to get a bigger poster because the one I have is really tiny, the print. But with education, it helps, just say, look, I eat it too. I eat it. So, yeah, because
great.
a lot of food get wasted, and yeah.
Yeah. Sang and then Sabia.
I was just going to say, when it comes to canned food, you did mention educating people about how you can tell, like if it's past the date by like 6 months or a year, to check for signs of like botulism, like you know what I mean, like to check that, make sure the can is not dented and all that stuff.
Correct.
And sometimes food, when it gets older, it loses its nutritional value. So by the time a fresh vegetable starts going all wilty and not looking so good anymore, it starts to lose its nutritional value very quickly. So that's one of the good reasons why I guess we're trying to do this thing. I'm going to be quiet now.
Okay, Sabia, then Brian.
Yeah, I think I heard what Deborah said. It's you're not going, I know most of the stores here don't have expired goods on their shelves. And if you get to see, usually you're told, you inform them that there is some expired stuff, so which they promptly remove. It's about people who already have bought some canned goods, for example, and then you find that after a few months, you realize you never used that tuna can, and then you see, oh, it's expired. So do you chuck it, or do you open it and then do the smell and taste test? That's it. When it, and I'm sure most stores are selling goods which are showing the best before dates. So we don't make a mistake there unless and I know people are so aware. I know even students and school-going kids, they first look at the best before date. I have seen that happen, but I would like to have a poster of that, what Kathy was saying about the that it's shows that it's not bad at all if it goes over by a few days, because I work with a program where we do give out food for the students after school, which are maybe expiring on the day off. We are giving it to them because that's donated by these organizations like Loblaws or Metro, because if they're expiring the same day, they just want to give it away to us so that we can just, and the students are looking at those best date. They say, oh, it's going to expire today. Or if it has expired yesterday, they say, oh, we are not eating this because you're giving us
Right.
expired goods. So I would like to have a poster of that so that we can just put it out there and let them
Yeah,
get educated on this right from when they are kids rather
Okay.
than getting
I've
older.
made
And
I've made a note to share some resources that I have
yes,
that
okay.
maybe can help you. Brian?
Yes, I too was going to say, if you guys have any posters that we can put up in the building, for myself, you can send them to us in PDF format and we can print them ourselves and put them up. The other thing that I wanted to mention, just with the best before date, it seems that it's kind of funny, it's the big grocery stores that remove the product when it passes its best before date. If you go into any ethnic food store or local food store, almost everything has gone beyond the best before date and it's still perfectly fine.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great comments, everybody. Okay. Let's move on. So some more facts and statistics. So people also use the terms food waste and food loss interchangeably. And in fact, they're a little bit different. And it really boils down to at what point of the food system, at what stage of the food system we're at. So food loss really occurs during the production, the processing, the distribution phases. So when it's being transported, perhaps the truck spent too much time on the road, or their refrigeration system went down, and it caused a lot of food to go bad before it even got to the store. That we call food waste. Or when it was harvest time, some of the things didn't get picked off the tree, or when it got they used machinery, and when the produce gets harvested, it falls off the truck or whatever because of harvesting methods. That we call food loss. But food waste really happens at the retail and the retail and the consumption, the household consumption level. So if global food waste was a country, it would be the third largest greenhouse gas emitter. So that's pretty significant. So we're not just talking about in Canada, but globally. So this is a big problem. And in Canada, the latest statistics we have is that Canadians produce 50 million tons of food waste annually. And if you take an average size of an SUV, which is about a ton, or a couple of tons, that means there are 25 million SUVs all piled together that kind of represent how much food waste we create in Canada. And when you kind of boil it down to each household, that could cost you over $1,000 a year in groceries that you're just basically buying and then throwing out. So just to kind of put it into perspective, that even saving a little bit of, or diverting a little bit of food from going to waste, not only saves the environment, but really can save you money as well in terms of your own household budget. So what can we do? So again, I will try the Menti one because I do want to capture your responses. So what I want to do is really focus at home, dining out, and in your community. Okay, so we're going to try and go back to the menti.com. I hope you can join me there.
I have it on my PC. So what I'll do is I'll just run back and forth between my PC and this one. Because if I try to pull up another browser on
Yeah.
this, I'm
Okay.
gonna lose you guys. Okay.
Okay, great. So we decided to go. So what are some of the things we can do at home to reduce the amount of surplus food that gets thrown out? And there are no right or wrong answers. It's just ideas that you might have that would prevent food from going to waste.
I'm gonna use my hand.
Yeah. Yes, Kathy.
try using of foods that are coming closer to the to that you have longer. Like when I do grocery, I put the fresher things to the back, change your food around, and then also check your pantry periodically to see what's coming up. Right now, I know I have expired tin milk, but I'm gonna use it. I'm not gonna throw anything. So so you can check your food, your cupboards, cook cook a little more, maybe sometime using what you have around the house rather than eating out or going to buy more stuff when you already have. Yeah. What else?
Is your
But
milk past its best before date, or is it its expiry date, Kathy?
um just the best before date. I'm gonna use it. It's good. My doctor told me that before I started the pantry, because my youngest son freaks out if something expire on a day, he doesn't want bread or anything. But I freeze my bread when I buy them
Yes.
because I don't run to the store all the time. But my doctor told me it's still good. You just have to use common sense to know, like dairy stuff, how long you can keep it and all that. I can see myself throwing food, so I eat it. If I have something and I see it's gonna come up to it passed the best before, but I have friends that I say it's still good, but I won't use it next week. Would you like it? Or I give it to someone.
Right. Right. Okay. Great answers. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay. What about when we're dining out? Are there ways when we have the lucky occasion to go out for dinner or go out buy food instead of cooking at home? Are there ways that we can reduce, don't over order? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, don't overorder. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
My girlfriend
Leftovers.
daughter used to just order a lot of food and her mom would get it. I said, let her eat that first. And if she can eat some more, then you can get something else for her. But she didn't
Yeah.
like that. So, and then if I seldom go out, I cook every day. But if I go with someone and even when they don't finish their food, I take it. I brought
Yeah.
food back to the building and give it, like on when we went to
Yeah.
Kawhi's not the last one, the one before. I brought extra food and I give it. I said to the people, come on downstairs, call them. I dish
Yeah.
it out, or
Mm-hmm.
I package it and I bring it and I have it for my meal the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Okay.
don't order too much at once. Order a smaller
Yeah.
portion, and then if you could have something else. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
hate to see people order a big plate, then they're done and all the food is on the plate. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what about probably what all of you are most interested about? What can we do at the community level?
What a lot of us are trying to do at a
Right.
little food
Yeah.
pantry and try to
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. No, that's great. Okay. So let's
I see
check out.
Brian's hand up.
Okay. Yes, Brian.
Sorry,
Brian, go
sorry, had
ahead.
to unmute there. I was just wondering with the restaurant question, is it helpful when dining out to actually say to the waiter, waitress, do you donate your leftover food? And if not, why?
It's possible. Yeah. Yeah.
Because just recently a friend and I were at the Rito Center, and there's a sushi place there. I think it's a chain,
Mm-hmm.
and they were throwing out a large portion of food at the end of the day. And he actually asked them. He said, "What are you doing with this?" And he said, "Throwing it out." And he said,
Mm-hmm.
"Why aren't you donating it?" And they said, "We can't." And once again, I think the restaurants have to be educated that there is a need for it.
Yeah. Some restaurants will. We have rescued food from restaurants who are changing their menus, and they have a lot of food in their freezer that they won't use anymore because their menu items have changed. As far as food that's been prepared, we haven't we as an organization have not got there yet, because we actually have to raise money to buy containers that will allow us to transport cooked food safely. So we have not ventured in, but you're perfectly correct in saying, why are you not donating it? If you happen to go to a restaurant, uh, but just so you know, Food Sharing Ottawa does have restaurants in their line of sight in terms of who we want to approach next to become food donors. It's just we have to consider, if we do collect from them their donations, how do we transport this food safely? And how do we guarantee that the recipient organization has the capacity to receive this cooked food and keep it at a safe serving temperature? And so there's all of those kinds of things that have to be considered before we can take that on. So, but your line of thinking is definitely on the right track. Um, so you guys had some really good ideas, and I think some of them pop up here. This is a list that I kind of keep for presentations and things like that. So, we talked about looking at in your pantry and fridge. You could have a pantry and fridge clean out day. It could be once a year, once every 6 months. And in February of every year, one of our volunteers does a pantry challenge. And she basically spends a whole month, and we feature this on our social media. And she only eats things that she prepares from things that are already in her pantry. And she this past year, I think in the whole month, she spent $8 on groceries by doing this exercise. She only spent an extra $8 to supplement, probably, with milk and maybe some fresh produce. But she basically tried to plan her meals around what she had in her pantry. So same thing with your fridge, taking everything out of your fridge. Okay, what can I put together to make a meal and use it all up? I think Kathy mentioned this, an eat me first section in your fridge. Put aside one little corner and put the items that need to be eaten first in that section. And so go to that section first. Eat your scraps. Use peels, bones, everything to make broth. Don't just peel your potatoes or your carrots particularly and just put them in your compost bin, or worse, in the garbage. Use them to make a stock. Learn ways to substitute ingredients. If you run out of sugar, can you use maple syrup or honey, or things like that? You mentioned already putting together small amounts of food to make a bigger dish, making a stir fry or a chili or a soup. Fried rice. I love making fried rice because I take, one slice of ham, one egg, half an onion and whatever. I throw it all together, and I can make, some leftover rice, and I make fried rice. Learning tips to extend the life of your produce. So I won't go into examples, but on our Facebook page, we offer tips on how to extend the life of your produce as well. Shopping with a grocery list and sticking with it, avoiding those impulse purchases. As if you have a community, like I understand you folks, within your buildings, you can shop in bulk and maybe share the cost across multiple families, because usually when you buy in bulk, it's a little bit less expensive per unit. But you want to make sure you use all of it. So maybe, take advantage of the lower cost and share the cost with another family. So when you buy 10 pounds of potatoes, because it's only $4, instead of paying $4 for 5 pounds of potatoes, share the 5 pounds of potatoes and then split the cost. So that's a way of saving money as well. With respect to restaurants, yeah, you've mentioned taking leftovers away for a tasty meal the next day. I've asked restaurants if they will serve in half portions. Okay, I don't know whose hand was up first because I'm kind of looking at multiple screens, but let's go with Sang first and then Brian.
About that, I usually do ask because I know they always serve too much. What I find interesting is that for a half portion, it's not going to be they're not going to charge you less. So they're instead of incentivizing people to eat smaller amounts, it's kind of like the opposite. So what my family always said is, oh, just get the whole thing and take the rest home. Ever since we were little kids, that's what we did. We traveled a lot, and I just want to mention that it's strange that they don't make it a half portion is half the price. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I have been in restaurants where they do serve half portions. It's probably a little bit more than half the price, but I'm willing to pay a little bit more to not waste any food, especially if I know I can't use, I'm probably going to eat at a restaurant because I'm trying to clear out my pantry and it's the last couple of days before I travel, and I won't be able to get rid of the food. So anyway, Brian.
Yes, I just wanted to comment and say, I find it very strange that I think everyone here in this in this group, we're all primarily, well, myself, I'm downtown, and inexpensive food is very hard to find. We do not have any bulk stores. They're all out in the suburbs. And so it makes it very difficult that we don't just, we don't have the availability. For example, I'm in the Biweekly market, and a couple of years ago, they knocked down one of our grocery stores to put in a condominium. So we're down to one major grocery store, which is Loblaws, which is very expensive unless you buy it at 50% off. But we do need to see a movement of bulk food and more food security in sort of the downtown area.
Yeah. And is that something that you can talk to your local counselor or MPP or MP about?
Yes, we have done that. However, once again, the businesses are saying the cost of retail space is just too high down here, and that's why they are building in the suburbs. And most of our people, I don't know about other buildings, we don't have automobiles for transportation to get to these locations.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to make a note of that.
Also, Caroline.
Yes.
Also, like what Brian was saying too, and also what's happening to, like, even though it's food and food would sell, like Loblaws, I find it an expensive store too, but even like downtown businesses are suffering. So people are not motivated to open because after COVID, what's happening? You see what's going on down there. So people are not motivated to open businesses down there, like, because the businesses are suffering as well. So there's a lot of different things to factor in that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, all very good points and all elements that would help contribute to the food security concerns that we all have. So in terms of with your within your community, everybody got on with the sharing of surplus food with neighbors. You can volunteer with organizations and even food pantries like yourself, telling others about the importance of keeping food out of landfills. And as Brian mentioned, asking your restaurant or your grocery store, uh, whether they're keeping food from being thrown away, and how are they doing it, and encouraging them and telling them, maybe about organizations like us. Hey, did you know that instead of throwing it out, if you're not going to sell it, instead of throwing out, there's an organization that will come and take it away for you. Let them know. And that way we can work, we can have better opportunities to redistribute that food to the recipient organizations. So no, that's great. Going to Kathy, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I just want to say quickly, another thing I do is educate the tenants here. So what I say to them, especially the ones that comes down all the time, I say, if you have an item upstairs in your cupboard that you're not going to use, maybe it was given to you or you bought it and then you didn't want to use it, you can bring it down and I can give you something extra. So it's like getting them to bring stuff that they won't use so it won't go to waste because, and it's surprising, not surprising, but sometimes they bring stuff down and another person loves it. They use it. And then, you know, so that's another way of not having, because some people would take it and go up and then they have stuff pile up there that they don't use. So it's encouraging them and educating them. So it all comes down sometimes to you have to educate them as well. But if I could get a poster, Caroline, with the best before that's visible, I have a tiny, tiny one. They said to me, I point to it. They say, we can't see. I can't even read it really well either, but post it there because seeing is believing, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I did make a note saying I would share my resources that I have on best before dates. So no, that's great.
One thing I was just going to mention, Kathy, in our building, we've tried to do that, but as we don't have a specific location for it, OCH has discouraged people from leaving materials that they don't require in the laundry room so people can exchange. So we also have to get the landlord on board as well as providing a location where food could be exchanged without the tenant feeling they're going to be penalized.
Yeah, Brian, it's a good idea. Keep pushing, don't give up, because I had to push and fight and I'm determined to get a little space. You can find a little space. And if you really want to do it, you don't give up. Go for it. You have us backing you. I don't know. I even had to bring in a counselor and the counselor told me I was angry all the time. I said, because I'm not getting anything for the tenants. So you don't give up. Just push until you find a little Eva cupboard that you can store it. It's a good thing to do, okay?
Wonderful. Don't you love Kathy's energy?
That's all I need. That's all I need. She keeps me going. I'm doing it.
Yeah, that's great. So I also wanted to share some other online resources in terms of getting access to food. So as I mentioned, we share tips for extending life of food on Facebook. So you can check that out. Share it, don't toss it. You could join that group. I was just wondering, I mean, I had this wild idea with OCH and working with the city of Ottawa. If you folks in each of your buildings, what if you had your own share it, don't toss it group? I don't know if all of your residents are on Facebook or whatever, but why not have your own group and share food, surplus food within the building and say, I'll meet you downstairs in the lobby if you're not comfortable with them coming to pick stuff up at your apartment or your house. Designate a specific, if you don't have room for a pantry per se like Kathy does, why not have a community resource available where people can post things that they have that they won't be able to use? And then would that idea work in your environment?
Unfortunately for us, a lot of our tenants don't have access to the internet. However, that's a really good idea that if we were to set up one day a month where we just have a food exchange, open the lounge up, and then people can just come with whatever they have that's surplus and drop it off and perhaps pick something else up and just have it on a monthly basis.
Brian, maybe twice a month, because if someone really wants something, once a month is really hard to wait, like when people waiting for that paycheck. So if you put up a table and say, you put posters and say, we do this, like you could put a day in advance, like set it up, like show what day and put tables and they bring it down and you have everything spread out and they do an exchange. The internet thing will work for me because a lot of seniors say they don't even use computer. They don't have access to that. So, but my thing is working anyway because they can, when they see me, they can always bring, sometimes they bring stuff in boxes and bags. So, but Brian, you could set up a table, 2 tables and say, these are the days we do it and let them come.
Let's do this a check-in, the next check-in, talk about brainstorming this idea because we are almost reaching our time.
Yeah,
It's already
yes,
1:32.
yes. Yeah,
So
I guess, yeah, we're all very excited about this. Okay,
Yeah, you
so
can tell we love food. We can keep going.
yeah. Okay, so that really is my presentation, but I really would like to hear from you on how we could improve. So I did, let's see. I'm trying to go back to the other presentation. Okay.
Sorry, I just
So,
want to say, sorry, Caroline, can I leave? I have a little drop off coming from you guys from Food Sharing Ottawa donation. So I told him closer to 2, okay? Thanks,
okay,
everyone, and thank you so much.
thank
That
you.
was a great presentation. Bye,
Okay, we'll
everyone.
talk to you soon.
Yes, for sure. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. All right. And then just any feedback on today's presentation. What you liked, didn't like, what you expected that I didn't meet, or any other information that would help us improve presentations like this for other community organizations.
Unfortunately for me, when I was trying to figure out how to use the board,
Yeah.
now it's telling me I've already answered that question.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So mine are all 5s.
Okay, great. Great. Okay, so yeah, so I just I'll stop sharing because that really is the end of my presentation, and I wanted to thank everybody for joining me, and I wish you all the best of luck in your own food pantries. In terms of when you are established, because OCH is on our list of food recipients. Uh, Kathy is on the list separately, but as far as the other locations, I don't know if it was a privacy issue, like they didn't want people to know where all the OCH buildings were or what, but I remember OCH has a specific address and I don't have it with me. But if you folks are setting up pantries in your own buildings and would like to be on our list for possible drop-off locations, that's something that we can discuss once you're further along on your setup. I'd be happy to put you in touch with the right people to make sure that your address is on the list. What we require usually is what hours we're able to access somebody to drop food off, a point of contact. So Kathy is our point of contact for the Clementine Food Pantry, and we would call her uh, either the day before or a few hours before we're picking up food and say, I've done it with Kathy before. I'll call the day before and I'll say, I'm going to do a pickup. Can I drop this stuff off? And I give her an approximate time, and then we arrange it so that she'll meet me at the back door and I drop off food. So that can be done with your buildings. I don't see why not. Again, we cannot guarantee uh, a drop off, a weekly drop off, or but certainly if one of our drivers is in the area and the food donor location is close by, getting your location on our list is kind of the first step.
That would be great because we ran into a problem. We started working with Harvest House,
Mhm.
and they were to bring us by a weekly shipment. Out of 15 weeks, we received 2 shipments.
Okay.
And so it was very depressing for our tenants who,
Mhm.
you know, were coming down every day and every week to do a pickup, and we say, no, sorry, we didn't get a donation today.
Mhm.
And I wonder if it's just that there are too many smaller groups that, you know, are sort of disorganized as opposed to going to one major group, you know, sort of like starting at the top, that you guys go out and get it and then we come to you and then our tenants come to us.
Yeah, I mean, Harvest House, if I understand, they have volunteers that pick fruit up from fruit trees that are in the neighborhoods and things like that. So uh,
No, actually,
I would have.
they pick up from distributors.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But
Okay,
I
yeah,
think
so
Deborah
yeah,
needs to. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm going now. No,
Okay.
okay,
All
thanks.
right. Great to meet you, Deborah.
Nice to meet you too. Bye.
Take care.
Carolyn, you can get in touch with me, and if Brian and any others are interested, and if they want me to connect with you about it, then I will share their emails or direct contacts.
Yep.
That way you can connect with them directly.
I'm a definite yes.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good. Okay, thank
Okay.
you so much for
I think you can stop recording.
Yeah.
Just so we don't forget.